the Constitution that won't ever change.
All political power is inherent in the people.
When Executive Director Katie Wright was asked if they're concerned about funding on the other side, she acknowledged that the legislator has been strategic in their messaging and thanked supporters for donating to their cause. Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Special counsel Jack Smith says the judge was wrong to toss the classified documents case against former President Trump. The Trump-appointed judge ruled that Smith's appointment violated the Constitution because he wasn't confirmed by the Senate. Smith's appeal points to a long tradition of outside attorneys taking on cases within the Justice Department. Coming up on KSL, warmer weather is on the way. KSL weather forecast coming up next. Stay right here. KSL News Time, 6:02.
Hi everyone, it's Congressman Blake Moore here. As I've listened to your concerns during my town halls and meetings throughout the district, one thing is clear. Utahns are concerned about border security. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the Biden administration's policies have allowed nearly 10 million encounters nationwide, including over 8 million at the southern border, more than ever before in American history. Record amounts of fentanyl have come through our borders and led to heartbreaking outcomes for families who have lost loved ones to overdoses. For the sake of our community's safety and national security, something must change. This is why House Republicans swiftly passed the Secure the Border Act to strengthen our southern border with new technologies, increase the number of Border Patrol agents, end catch and release, and require transparency from the Department of Homeland Security. I will keep fighting to make 1st District communities safer, and I encourage you to sign up for my weekly e-newsletter and follow me on social media at Rep. Blake Moore to stay updated on my efforts. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, debunking 3 myths about fiduciaries. And you're going to be surprised about myth number 3. Myth number 1. Fiduciaries are too expensive. Not at Trajan Wealth. Our interests are aligned with yours, so we don't need to push costly investments. The more you make, the more we make. It's that simple. Myth number 2, they will only want to sell me something. Absolutely not. At Trajan Wealth, we have hearts of teachers, and it's our goal to educate and empower, not sell. And the biggest myth, myth number 3, fiduciaries are only for the wealthy. Not at Trajan Wealth. Whether you have 50 grand or 50 million, we know it was hard-earned and we'll treat it as such. Let's grow together. So, here's your opportunity for 100% complimentary professional Q&A. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Power outages happen year-round, and they're always unexpected. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and some people have medical equipment that needs to stay on, or maybe you don't want the hundreds of dollars of food in the freezer to spoil. Regardless of the reasons, Any Hour Services can help with a backup generator. Now, a lot of people think that backup generators cost thousands of dollars, but we have packages that'll run the essentials and start at less than $2,500. That includes the generator, the connections from the generator to the house, and the installation. We also carry and install larger generators that can run the whole house and kick on automatically when the power goes out. Of course, those cost more, but if you call right now, you can save $1,000 on any standby generator purchase over 9,000 watts. A licensed electrician from Any Hour Services will walk you through the process and show you what options are available. And if you need it, we have flexible financing options available, even if you've been told no in the past. To schedule a free estimate, call Any Hour Services today. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station, as close as your pocket.
I usually go to the KSL app.
Because it's on your phone, you have such a wide ability to choose what you're listening to.
That's the only news app that I use.
Listen anytime, anywhere with the KSL News Radio app.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Michelle Rowe.
We're still looking at delays for drivers around the south interchange. You're seeing that going about 5300 south, in spots down to about 90th south. Westbound on the 201 freeway, that is still busy as you're going past the West Belt. And we have utility work up in Roy. This is 1900 west and 4800 south. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
The KSL weather forecast. We're expecting an overnight low of 58 degrees. Tomorrow, sunshine and 87. I'm Jeff Kaplan, KSL News Radio at 79 degrees. We're at 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The following is a presentation of KSL Sports. Hello, Cougar Nation.
Handoff middle. First down. Touchdown. And listen to the Cougar Nation.
Every Monday night, we break down the Cougars' last game and look ahead to next week. Cougar Nation, brought to you by Central Bank. Here's BYU insider Mitch Harper and Matt Baiamonte on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio.
Good evening, Cougar Nation, Season 2. Cougar Nation, we're taking your phone calls over the next hour talking BYU football as game week is here. 801-575-8255. Load up the phone lines. Mitch Harper, Matt Baiamonte with you. We're getting ready for BYU and Southern Illinois this Saturday. 6 o'clock kick here on KSL. Extended pregame begins at noon with Cougar Sports Saturday. We will have you covered this weekend as the Cougars get ready to kick off the 2024 season. And a new season, there's hope that it'll be better days ahead than what took place last year as the Cougars finished 5-7 in their debut as a Big 12 team.
Glad to be back on board with you, Mitch, and glad to be back on you, most importantly, Cougar Nation, for Season 2, which starts today. And look, I think it's recommended you put this number in your contacts, 801-575-8255. That's how you can call in all season long, sharing your thoughts each and every Monday night at this exact time as we take you through this football season. But first, Mitch, let's break down this opening matchup coming this Saturday against the Salukis of Southern Illinois. How big of a challenge do you think this game will be for the Cougars?
It's going to be a challenge because Southern Illinois is a solid football team, and they're number 11 in the FCS ranks, but still it's an FCS team. BYU is undefeated all time against FCS programs. BYU should have no issue with Southern Illinois. They should win comfortably, but if they perform the way that they did in stretches last year, think about the Sam Houston game a season ago, the opener, things could be a little dicey. But, one thing that BYU needs to sort out in this game is the quarterback situation, and head coach Kalani Sitake said he's not ready to name a starter.
Yeah, I think you guys have the depth chart, so we kind of have an idea. We know our plan. We know what we're going to be doing, just not ready to tell everybody our game plan yet.
We do have the depth chart, but there's 20 oars on the depth chart, so it's a little difficult to parse out who's the starter, who's the backup, who's the third string, and that's fine in today's day and age, Mitch. There's a lot of rotations, there's a lot of personnel packages and substitutions, but I don't love this move by BYU to not name a starting quarterback. I get the argument that they've made today, the coaching staff, that there's a competitive advantage to be had. By not naming them, you'll have to prep for both, but ultimately, whoever trots out in that first series, they're going to quickly adjust the game plan to that person, and then you have to go and play football. Personally speaking, I think there's more to be gained from a team perspective, Mitch. When you name a quarterback, you can rally around that guy, but that's not the case for this upcoming game on Saturday.
BYU, their top two quarterbacks are Jake Retzlaff or Gary Bohannon. That's what's on the depth chart this week. And Jake Retzlaff, of course, you know him, Cougar Nation, was starter of 4 games last season, was 0-4 in those contests. Gary Bohannon, you kind of know him too. He's faced BYU twice from his time at Baylor and USF, but now he joins BYU in his final season as a college football quarterback. And, there's been a theme throughout fall camp with both of these quarterbacks that the coaches have maintained consistency that they are going to need both quarterbacks. And Kalani was asked today if he's going to play multiple quarterbacks against the Salukis.
Yeah, I think we're planning to do a lot of different things. We have a lot of options, and the goal is to get the win. So I can't tell you how that's going to go yet right now on Monday, but we know we have an opportunity. We can win with more than just one person at quarterback. We have a number of them that can play and that we can get victories with.
So Kalani believes that they've got multiple quarterbacks that could win games. So we want to ask you, Cougar Nation, who do you want to start at quarterback on Saturday against the Salukis? 801-575-8255. Hit us up and weigh in on who you want to see at quarterback, because This has been a raging debate throughout the entire year. Keaton Slovis was the quarterback last year. He's gone, got cut this weekend with the Colts in the NFL. But now it's either Retzlaff or Bohannon. What way do you go, Matt?
I lean to Jake Retzlaff. I think there's pros and cons to both guys. Gary Bohannon, Mitch, has more experience. He's a bigger quarterback. We saw in fall camp, he's probably a little faster, maybe a little better in the run game. The thing that I really like about Jake, and it's hard to measure this in camp, Mitch, I love the show Hard Knocks on HBO. I've talked about that a lot of times, and I've really enjoyed this season of Hard Knocks with the Chicago Bears. And one thing that makes their new starting quarterback so interesting, Caleb Williams, is his ability to improvise. And I do believe that is a strength for Jake Retzlaff. Not everything can be on the script. Not everything is going to go according to plan. Who is a player who, when a play breaks down, can make something happen? I personally believe Jake Retzlaff is a little better in that department, and that's why I want to see him get the first crack at it. By no means, though, Mitch, do I feel comfortably that he is better than Gary Bohannon. Gary might be better, but ultimately I want to see one of these guys prove it in games before I feel like definitively that's the guy who should lead BYU football.
I just don't understand the idea that, what was the point of adding Bohannon if he's not going to win the job? Because if Jake Retzlaff was the guy all along, why do we even bother? Because things are trending towards Jake Retzlaff being the starting QB, quarterback one this Saturday. And, Chase Roberts earlier today, well, he shared his thoughts on the quarterback situation. He knows who that quarterback's going to be coming up this weekend for BYU against the Salukis.
Right now, it's kind of starting to, obviously we're just keeping it down low up until game time. But we've been able to, kind of figure out over practices and stuff who the guy's going to be, who we can meet with to prepare for the game when it comes game one, who to watch film with a little bit more. So we're obviously we know as receivers, but we're going to keep it down low and up until game time.
What do you make of that commentary?
I respect it. It's fine if you want to pull the gamesmanship card, Mitch. I just don't know if there's much to be gained from it. All right, we got our first call of Cougar Nation season number 2, and this is something I love about Cougar Nation, man. It's a nationwide fan base. We got John from Preston, Idaho. You got questions about this quarterback battle, John?
Yeah, I was wondering if Bohannon was looking like his old self when he was at Baylor. I know that they had an outstanding year the last year he was there. And then also wondering, I didn't see Preston Rex on the depth chart. Just wondering if he's going to see the field, if he's going to get out there and make some plays.
Thanks for the question, John. Gary Bohannon's health, he looks fully healthy. Nothing's holding him back, and that should be the expectation in regards to his shoulder. He suffered that injury in October 2022. He told me a couple weeks back that in May is when he finally felt 100% healthy. And in stretches during fall camp, there were moments where I felt like Bohannon was pulling away, Matt.
Yes.
I thought Bohannon was ready to be named the starting quarterback, and he looked really good, particularly on the ground. But as far as his health, that should not be a hindrance to him. He should be ready to go and be good for BYU. As far as Preston Rex, he's in that nickelback, probably the fourth-string guy, probably not in the mix right now heading into game week.
We got to take our first break. We'll get to more of your calls on the other side. Glad to have Central Bank on board for Season 2. Central Bank's CB Vault, Help Center for Startups and Entrepreneurs. Visit cbutah.com.
Emergency traffic brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. We have emergency traffic southbound I-15 right about 7200 south. This is a multi-vehicle crash blocking the 3 left lanes. Traffic is backing up to about 5300 south in Murray. You may want to delay your travel or use an alternate. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible. It's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
In a world where ugly siding, leaky gutters, and inefficient windows are sapping homeowners of their will to live, one company must save us all. This year, join RGS Exteriors as it embarks on a mission to eliminate outdated home exteriors, one Utah home at a time. Every plank of old, ugly siding must be replaced. Every leaky gutter must be eradicated. Every inefficient, energy-sapping window must be vanquished. Once and for all. Begin your epic remodeling quest by calling RGS Exteriors for a free estimate. Discover how a heroic team of experts will save your siding, gutters, or windows for a fair, no-nonsense price. Call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or journey online to rgsexteriors.com. RGS Exteriors, coming soon to a home near you.
Life can feel hard or overwhelming sometimes, but you don't have to face things alone. Getting help for yourself or someone you're worried about starts with a call or text to 988, where you always have someone to talk to, someone to help you, and somewhere safe to go. 988 Utah is here for anyone experiencing mental health challenges or emotional distress. 988 Utah can even help you navigate how to support your struggling loved ones. Whether you're struggling with anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, trained professionals are ready to listen and provide free, confidential support 24/7. Utah, don't hesitate to call or text 988 for you or someone you care about. The caring staff at 988 Utah can connect you to the right resources. Learn more at 988lifeline.org.
In a crisis, your number one need is food, because when things go sideways, it's always one of the first things to sell out. But if you wait to stock up, all you'll find at the grocery store are crowds of desperate people and empty shelves. That's why FEMA and the Red Cross say you need at least 72 hours of non-perishable food. But here's the good news. For Patriots, the trusted preparedness company is offering listeners of this station a special buy one, get two free deal on its best-selling 72-hour survival food kits. This new and improved kit has 20 servings of delicious food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all designed to last for 25 years. It sells for $29 and has been rated 4.4 stars by thousands of happy customers. But when you act quickly and buy one kit, you will get 2 more kits absolutely free. That's 3 kits for the price of one. $58 in free food. Go to freefood1.com. That's freefood1.com. This deal won't last. Go to freefood1.com now.
When the midday hunger pangs hit,
KSL's top story this hour.
make Utah's new news your lunch break companion.
Good afternoon, Maria. We do have delays.
Stay updated with in-depth reports on the day's biggest stories and updated weather. Utah's new news with Maria Chaleos. Weekdays noon to 1 on KSL News Radio. How many things affect your life as much as slow traffic and bad weather? Listen tomorrow morning for traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s on KSL News Radio.
You're listening to the season debut of Cougar Nation Season 2, sponsored by Central Bank. There's multiple ways to interact with the show. Of course, this is a call-in show for you, Cougar Nation, and you can call us at 801-575-8255. You can text us as well. If you don't want to call but you want to get a thought in, we'll get to your texts. 57500. Here's a text, Mitch. 7557. After this, we'll get back to the phone line. So keep calling in your thoughts on who should be the starting quarterback this Saturday. Here's the text. It's the fact that A-Rod hasn't made a decision on the starting quarterback. Is that a sign of indecisiveness from the coordinator?
It very well could be. You know, this is a quarterback race. This is not Zach Wilson, Jaron Hall. This is not, you know, I always point to Jim McMahon, Mark Wilson, an iconic quarterback battle of yesteryear. This is a battle of two guys that have had some good days. They've also had some average days, and they're kind of the same guy in many respects. And Aaron Roderick even said today that the offense doesn't change much between these two quarterbacks. It could be indecisiveness because this is a critical decision, Matt. You get this wrong, and you have to dig into your quarterback depth. Is Aaron Roderick back next year? That's a question. He's on the hot seat going into this year. Last year's offense for BYU was terrible. It was one of the worst in college football, and it was probably the worst in the Big 12. It's got to get better. They've made some changes on the staff with the tight end coach. Kevin Gilbride comes in, offensive line coach TJ Woods, and TJ Woods' role in this offense is huge as the run game coordinator. But Aaron Roderick has got to perform and get this right with the QB unit, because I don't subscribe to the thought of playing two quarterbacks all the time. SMU, BYU's week 2 opponent, is doing that right now. I don't like that. You want to go with one guy, give him the job, and let him operate. Hold up, let him cook, as my kids say. Let him cook. So we expect that, Retzlaff's trending to being towards being that starting quarterback, because how he closed fall camp, he was impressive.
Yeah.
And it gave you confidence that he can be a new guy, but I do believe there's a little bit of indecisiveness here with Roderick.
Back to the phone line, 801-575-8255. Who do you want to start at quarterback in the opener this Saturday? Thomas from West Haven, who do you want to start at quarterback?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited for college football, excited for BYU football, but I think I want Retzlaff on. I don't know. I don't know if I see the benefit of a super senior last year in football. I think we've got to get some long-term plans in play here, and I think Retzlaff, if he's going to come back another season, that would be helpful to get some momentum that way. So that's my opinion.
I agree, Thomas. I think that's goes into the decision, because if he has a good year, Mitch, you're rolling back next year. You look at some of the teams that are projected to compete for a national championship. By no means am I saying BYU's with this group of teams, but Texas, Quinn Ewers has been there for a minute. Georgia, they've got Carson Beck. He's been there for a minute. So a lot of these teams that have a lot of success, and I know they're recruiting at a different level. It's not fair to compare BYU with Georgia and Texas, but you have a lot of success when you have returning quarterbacks. Sure. It's hard to just every single year dip into the portal and bring someone in and run it back year after year. That's not ideal. And if Jake ends up being the guy and is good, you got the luxury of saying he could be the guy next year. And you got to wonder if that plays into it too, because you like to have someone like BYU's had in the past, where you have Zach for multiple years, you have Jaron for multiple years. In recent time, you've been shuffling that quarterback more than you'd like, and success has not followed.
Jake has improved this season. Is he a completely new quarterback? I don't know about that. He looks better physically. He looks like he's lost a little bit of weight. He looks like he's just a better overall athlete this season. The way he's throwing the football, you can see the impact John Beck has had on him. Gary Bohannon's also worked with John Beck, too, in Provo and in Southern California. But Retzlaff's improved. He's taking care of the football in camp. But the thing is that, Retzlaff had many opportunities last year to just close the door shut on this job, right, and get and win the job. And they didn't win a ball game. They haven't won a ball game since last October. Let's get back out to the phone line. Spencer from St. George. He wants to weigh in on the quarterback battle. Where are you leaning, Spencer, on this quarterback debate?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I think about all the points that have been made and everything with the battle between the two, where one's ahead of the other, depending on the week you look at and things, and the upside with Jake having another year after this year already available to him. But my take is that he's already been in the system for a year, and if he couldn't separate himself already having that advantage, I personally would go with Bohannon just for the athletics, personally.
Thanks for the call, Spencer. And the thing is that, but what's always been interesting to me is that they were on even footing, him and Bohannon, throughout fall camp. Bohannon was not fully healthy until May. So even with a spring football where Bohannon did not look good, me and you, Matt, we came out of spring thinking, geez, Retzlaff's going to easily win this job because Bohannon did not look good at all. He could not complete a deep pass. Looked a lot better in fall camp. I think what's also an issue, Matt, is that this fan base, Cougar Nation, They know what greatness is at the BYU quarterback position. And to be in the stage in the Big 12 where they have been dreaming of this for so many years, and then to finally get here, and you kind of fumbled the bag at quarterback.
Yeah.
You hope it's going to work out with Retzlaff. I know everyone in Cougar Nation is going to be pulling for him, Bohannon, whoever's in those games, they're going to be pulling for him. But this is not Zach Wilson. This is not Jaron Hall. This is not Taysom Hill.
It's not Baylor Romney.
Exactly. That's not even Baylor Romney. You have Baylor Romney last year. You probably go to a bowl.
Right.
It's just, I think that's what's discouraging is this now the new norm for BYU football at the quarterback? Because it didn't matter what your conference situation was, BYU was always churning out a pipeline of studs. Yeah, there's been some dips. There were some stretches in the Bronco era, the Crowan era, even Lavelle, where it wasn't always perfect. But, man, you always felt like there was some big-time stud waiting in the wings. Who's that guy? Is it down the road McKay Hillstead?
Maybe.
Maybe. I like him. He had some deep passes in fall camp that made me think, oh, he's got a pretty big arm. But it's just that's what's kind of, I think, frustrating for Cougar Nation right now is that this is not – BYU football is known for great quarterback play. They are an innovator. They are one of the best in the business when it comes to playing quarterback, and they're nowhere near that. And that's discouraging when you finally got to the stage you've been dreaming of for decades.
The phone line is lighting up. Cougar Nation has thoughts on this quarterback battle, Mitch. And we love your participation here on the season debut of Cougar Nation each and every Monday night throughout the football season. Let's go to Jordan from West Jordan. Who do you want to take that first snap against Southern Illinois?
Hey, how you guys doing? That's a great question. From what I've heard, and you correct me if I'm wrong in what I heard here, but I heard that Bohannon is the more athletic, the better runner, and Jake Retzlaff had a better arm, for the most part, more consistent. I want the guy who can get it to our wide receivers because that's our deepest group on the offense, I would say, and they're probably the most dynamic, the ones who can probably score the quickest. So I want to be using them, and I want us to be able to get whoever can get them the ball the best. But to be honest, I heard that they're both good, so whoever they choose, I'm just hoping that they choose right.
Hey, I agree with you, Jordan. Passing the ball to me is very important. It's not as important as winning, Mitch. Winning football games is the most important. But BYU has a identity with the way that they've been successful over the decades. They are a pass-first team. When you think of BYU football, you think of great quarterback play, and you think of it through the air. This is not power run or option offense. When you think of great BYU football, you think of great quarterback play who's slinging it all over the field. And I like that too. And to Jordan's point, I also think the wide receivers are the best group on the offense. That's the most talented and deepest group. Get them the football at all costs. And I tend to believe that's Jake Retzlaff that's going to be a little better in the passing game category.
This was BYU offensive coordinator Aaron Roderick today on Coordinator's Corner on the two quarterbacks and the similarities between them.
The main thing is we want to make our opponent have to prepare for both guys. So they're a very good defense. They've defeated a Division I team 2 years in a row. They are a good program. And so it didn't make any sense to just let them know. They've got to prepare for both guys, dig up some film on Gary. They've got 4 games with Jake. So we just wanted to keep that advantage until kickoff.
That was Roderick on not wanting to announce the quarterback, but you can understand his topics. I think it's also a case of this is Southern Illinois. Do you need to hold off against Southern Illinois? Now,
how long does the surprise give you an advantage, though? 2 drives, tops?
I don't know. I don't know what that really gives you. I don't know.
Yeah.
You've got film on Jake Retzlaff. It's not like the wheel is not going to be reinvented. He's still going to be a guy that improvises. He's still going to have that sidearm throw. We'll see. I think it's going to be interesting what happens on Saturday. Southern Illinois also has a quarterback debate as well heading into this matchup. They've got a or listed on their depth chart. News, traffic, and weather. We'll get to more of your phone calls next here on Cougar Nation. Mitch Harper, Matt Baiamonte with you, taking your phone calls up to 7 o'clock as we talk BYU football against Southern Illinois this week.
It's 6:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. KSL's top local story this hour. A Layton neighborhood is in shock after a 10-year-old boy was hit and killed by a truck over the weekend. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson with details.
Clearfield Assistant Police Chief Devin Rogers says the fatal accident happened at the intersection of 1900 South and Chelms Way in Clearfield. Both the truck driver and the boy on his bike were stopped and then proceeded into the intersection, seemingly without seeing each other. The boy was treated on the scene and then transported to the hospital where he died from his injuries.
Rogers says this is a tragic reminder that we need to be hyper aware of each other on the roads, especially now that school has started and more kids will be using intersections traveling to and from school. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Members of Congress are investigating the attempted assassination of former President Trump.
In the United States of America, you do not get to attempt to assassinate our elected officials and our candidates. It's unacceptable. And we are standing here in a bipartisan way to send the message that we won't tolerate.
That's Democratic Representative Jason Crow, the task force made up from both parties. KSL News Time 6:31. Coming up, warmer weather ahead. Will we see any thunderstorms? Stay here. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 6:31.
It's me again. And of course, I'm at the annual fall extravaganza at J&J Garden Center in Layton. And what a great time to buy. Right now, all containerized trees, all shrubs, and all perennials are 20% off. You heard me right. J&J's entire inventory of containerized trees, shrubs, and perennials are 20% off their regular price. J&J Garden Center definitely has the best products at the best price and most definitely the best service too. But don't take my word for it. Come experience J&J Garden Center for yourself. Take advantage of their incredible fall tree, shrub, and perennial extravaganza. Take the Layton Parkway exit, Main Street to Gentile, then west 2 miles. You've got to see it to believe it. You really do.
Country grown to your home, J&J Garden Center.
Nearly 70% of Utah's land is controlled by the federal government, severely limiting Utah's ability to actively manage and protect our natural resources. Our families, businesses, and communities know there's a better way. Utahns have been good stewards of our public lands for generations. That's why we're asking each and every Utahn to get informed, speak up, and learn more at standforourland.utah.gov.
The game of football is about pain. Ever since I was 5 years old, it's been all about football. It's been about running, jumping, blocking, tackling. I stopped playing at 31.
You're listening to Michael Robinson, retired pro fullback.
I thought that foot pain was going to be with me for the rest of my life. I'm so glad I met Good Feet. I'm so glad that those arch supports are in my shoes. I have terrible foot issues that prevented me from really having a normal life with my kids. With the Good Feet arch supports, man, I'm always ready. My kids actually got to enjoy me in the yard more, racing each other, backpedaling, teaching them some things, being a dad. If I had known about the Good Feet arch support earlier, I would have more than one championship. I would have 2 championship rings.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
The Good Feet store. Call 1-800-NEW-FEET or visit goodfeet.com.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Michelle Rowe.
Jeff, this is a multi-vehicle crash with injuries southbound I-15 at 7200 South. The 2 left lanes are closed. We have at least a couple of miles of delays. You may want to use an alternate. And Legacy Parkway slow, southbound just below the Farmington split. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
The KSL weather forecast down to 57 degrees with a mostly clear sky overnight. Tomorrow, it's a good deal warmer with a high of 87, and we see no threat of thunderstorms right now. 79 degrees. I'm Jeff Kaplan, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The following is a presentation of KSL Sports. Hello, Cougar Nation.
Handoff middle. First down. Touchdown! And listen to the Cougar Nation.
Every Monday night, we break down the Cougars' last game and look ahead to next week. Cougar Nation, brought to you by Central Bank. Here's BYU insider Mitch Harper and Matt Baiamonte on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio.
It's good to be back, everyone. Mitch Harper, Matt Baiamonte. We're holding it down. Season premiere edition, Season 2 of Cougar Nation, where we're taking your phone calls, interacting with you for another week of BYU football. Cougars going to be taking on the Salukis of Southern Illinois from Carbondale, Illinois. I learned in this prep for this game, a Saluki is a dog. I did not. Well, I think I knew that. I've seen the logo.
They have a live Saluki at their home.
I believe
games.
so. The last time I remember BYU playing Southern Illinois in football or men's basketball was a NIT game back in 2000 when the NIT required they based the next round host on attendance. I was at that game. Bruce Weber was the head coach for the Salukis. BYU had Terrell Lede, but I digress. We're talking BYU and Southern Illinois football this weekend, 6 o'clock kick. We'll get the coverage started at high noon with Cougar Sports Saturday, and we are looking forward to another year of Cougar football every single week on Monday nights, 6 to 7. We're taking your phone calls and your text. And shout out to Texter 1506. He writes, I don't care who the quarterback is. I just want the Cougars to score 76 points to help me celebrate my 76th birthday this Saturday. Hey, happy early birthday to you. And hopefully the Cougars do get that done, Matt, and get 76 points on the board. Because I do think in this game.
Yeah, right. There's no way they get 76 points on the board.
I'm not expecting
That's
that.
not Kalani style.
The highest BYU has ever scored in one of these games against an FCS was 70 against Wagner in 2015.
Different coach.
BYU, they've scored a lot of points the last 4 in these. So, in Kalani Sitake, it's not like he's losing these games here, Matt.
I know. I'm just saying. The point I'm trying to make here is Kalani is not a run-up-to-score kind of guy.
But this is the one game where you want a little bit of style points because I think Cougar fans want to see something that shows that's tangible proof that this team is different than last year. And I think a blowout win against a solid FCS team, because I think would make Cougar fans feel pretty good going out of LaVell Stadium on Saturday.
Before we get to the phone line, this season, if you want, you can watch us on YouTube. Live stream here in the studio. Just go to KSL News Radio on YouTube. You'll see the live stream. You can watch us there if you want to see me and Mitch get into some blows when we disagree. So just throwing that out there for the visual medium fans. YouTube here for Season 2. Back to the phone line, though. If this is who I think it is, I think we're in for a real treat. Michael from Texas. Michael, are you the guy who called in last year a couple times? Because we loved you, man.
I am.
There we
Welcome.
go. Let's go. Welcome back, Michael.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, so the only thing I really wanted to say was it's an interesting question you guys posed because, to be honest, it's unfair. We haven't had access to these guys. We don't know what they look like. You guys are the only ones that know whether Jake Retzlaff or Gary Bohannon should be starting. So, yeah, I just don't think we know. I do find it funny because, as you guys know, I did not grow up a BYU fan. I find it very funny how BYU fans are absolutely obsessed with their quarterbacks. It reminds me of I once had some cats that I couldn't get away from my trash can, and so I'd use a laser pointer to try to get them away, and they would become obsessed with the light, but they wouldn't know where the light was coming from. It was like a distraction. That's kind of how I feel like the quarterbacks are for BYU. Like, the quarterbacks are the least of our worries. I know, like, Keaton Slovis, like, he didn't perform great for us last year according to our standards, but he was just on an NFL team. I know he just got cut, but quarterback's one of the least of my worries on the team. I'm much more worried, like, hey, is our left tackle going to hold up? Is our offensive line going to be better? Can we stop the run? Those are, like, the biggest concerns I have. I think as far as quarterbacks, like, I saw Jake Retzlaff move the ball. He dropped it a few times, but can he clean that up? I know I've seen Gary Bohannon move the ball. I don't think moving the ball is the question. I think the question more is, can we run the ball? Can we stop the run? I think quarterback for me is a secondary concern to some of the other issues that I think make a BYU football team good in this day and age. So,
Michael from Texas, always bringing the heat. We appreciate you. Great stuff there. It's a fair point. I mean, BYU's offensive line was a mess last year, and I'm bringing it up, Matt. I always reference it. They whiffed at times last year, and
they whiffed.
It was a nasty whiff. It was not good. When they line up, they mean business, and left to right, you're going to probably go Caleb Etienne at left tackle, left guard Waylon Lapuaho, center Connor Pay, right guard it's either Sonny Makassini or Austin Leausa from Southern Utah, and then right tackle Braden Keim. I think that starting five is good. Second unit, though, it's light. So BYU better stay healthy, and they better be good on that offensive line to protect for the quarterback.
It's a great point. Ultimately, you need to have better line play if you want any of these guys to succeed. If there's no time to throw the ball, it doesn't matter who's throwing the ball. If there's no holes to run through, it doesn't matter if LJ is fully healthy or not. It's going to be hard to run the football. We got another text, 1341. Roderick's response about keeping the quarterback choice a secret is being strategic is a bunch of psychobabble, Mitch. How many of the top 20 teams are afraid to let people know who their starting quarterback is? If you're good, you don't need to hide it.
I agree. I mean, when you got Jaron Hall, hey, we're going to announce it from the mountaintops. He's our starter. Zach Wilson, even though Roderick noted that there were emails that he was getting, hey, don't start Zach, he ultimately announced Zach was the starter. When you got something that's good, you want to boldly, proudly say, this is our guy. And I really do believe BYU wanted to do that in this. But again, this race, I do understand from the coach's perspective because we saw it in the media observation windows. Some really good days from Jake, some mediocre days from Jake, some great days from Gary, some really not good days from Gary. So I can see where they're coming from. There's no blue chip quarterback here. And this is a league too, Matt, where they've got great quarterback play this year. The Big 12, massive upgrade in quarterbacks this year with the addition of the four corner schools. So BYU's got to get this right and find a little bit of consistency with one or, dare I say, two. It sounds crazy to say, but they got to just get some answers from that quarterback spot because to me, you can't just say offensive line, that's the only thing that can be good for BYU. I just feel like you got to have a good quarterback to get to 6 wins, to get to a postseason bowl game. And that's got to be the minimum expectation for this team this year is you got to get to 6.
I think either one of those guys can get you to 6, though. And
it's a tough schedule, Matt.
It is a tough schedule. However, I do take comfort in the fact that there's a lot of hard games at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. That's where you need Cougar Nation, who, by the way, Cougar Nation has showed up for the season debut. Love the calls, love the engagement. You guys are the best. They need to do that tenfold at Lavelle Edwards Stadium this fall to get an upset or two against really difficult, entertaining home schedule. Mitch, we'll get to that a little bit in the final segment as we kind of give our season win-loss record predictions before things get underway later this week. Let's get back out to the phone line, though, Mitch. This show it's called Cougar Nation for a reason. 801-575-8255. Our dear friend Linda. Linda, who should the starting quarterback be?
Jake.
Jake. Why Jake?
I think he needs another year because he's a senior, and then he'll be a senior, and I think that'll be good that he gets another chance.
Thanks, Linda. Appreciate it. And I think it's a point worth bringing up here is that Jake, if he starts this season, he's got another year of eligibility, Mitch. This isn't a case where you've got two guys with the same amount of time left at BYU. One guy is leaving at the end of the season regardless. The other guy could roll it back. And ideally, in a perfect world, you play the younger guy if he's earned it so that he can build upon that into his senior year.
I agree with that. And it would create job security, you would think, for Roderick and Kalani if Retzlaff had success. Because then you go into an offseason potentially this winter and you feel like, okay, you got your QB1. You can build on this and maybe level up again in year 3 in the Big 12. But there's a long way between now and then. And you just hope that they stay healthy and they can put their best versions of themselves out on the field and they can avoid the catastrophic mistakes. That was a big thing for Jake, was those mistakes he had. I mean, that Oklahoma pick will live in BYU infamy. It will be remembered for all the wrong reasons because it cost BYU the game. And that was think about the view of this season if you win that Oklahoma game. I do believe, in a weird way, that going 5-7 was maybe better long-term for this program, but still, you would have rather had a win over Oklahoma and gone to a bowl game. Still, BYU is, got to sort itself out with that quarterback situation, and we'll find out who that quarterback is officially from BYU's side coming up this Saturday. 6 o'clock kick, BYU and Southern Illinois. Cougar Nation brought to you by Central Bank. Central Bank CB Vault, Help Center for Startups and Entrepreneurs. Visit cbutah.com. Taking our final timeout, we'll get to more of your calls and texts and our predictions for BYU Southern Illinois next here on Cougar Nation.
The Cougars are back in the business of rivalry.
We have TCU and Baylor, but at the top is Utah and BYU.
The big time in the Big 12 just got bigger.
The Cougars win it! The Cougars win it! And here come the fans!
5 days to the season kickoff. BYU Southern Illinois. Listen to Cougar Tracks for updates each day. 7:55 in the morning and 5:55 in the afternoon on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio.
None of these 7 people scored the winning touchdown in last year's championship game. None have gone into space or gone on tour with Taylor Swift. Yet 7 special people in the community deserve your attention. And September 7th at the Utah Valley Convention Center, starting at 6 p.m., you can give it to them. Join Community Action Services and Food Bank in celebrating the contributions of 7 extraordinary members of the community. Then see the premiere of the Food and More Store, a pop-up giving experience you can only experience at this event. Plus, you'll have the chance to peek inside their new mobile food pantry. Dinner, live music, entertainment. Get details now on how you can be a part of this exceptional community night. Visit casfb.org and learn more about the evening, the individuals being honored, and how to be there to take it all in. casfb.org. Community Action Services and Food Bank, providing food and more to neighbors in need in Wasatch, Summit, and Utah counties.
We break in once again quickly at 6:47 on KSL News Radio with emergency traffic. 2 left lanes are now blocked southbound I-15, a bad place, 7200 South Midvale. Traffic delays, extra tight, even more than usual. Southbound I-15 back from Murray. Mark Jackson, KSL News Radio.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Joe Fallon's bedroom mini fridge. Sure, this pint-sized chiller's max capacity is 3 soda cans, but what it lacks in stature, it makes up in cooling strength. Each beverage a perfect 37 degrees every time. And the 2 feet Joe walks to get a drink? Priceless. That's why his mini fridge is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cashback you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Kids are back in the classroom, and at Central Bank, they understand the importance of forming good financial habits at an early age and encouraging kids to succeed in the classroom. Central Bank's Youth Smart Savings Account rewards students for great grades. Central Bank will reward your child grades 6 through 12 for every A or A- earned on each report card up to $32 per school year. They'll also match your child's opening deposit up to $20. And if earning a higher interest rate than a regular savings account isn't enough, they'll also let your youngsters choose from their treasure chest with each in-person savings deposit. Open a Youth Smart Savings Account for your child, teen, or grandchild and teach them to save early. Central Bank's Youth Smart Savings Account is the smartest, hardworking children's savings account around. Visit them online at cbutah.com or in person at one of their 12 Utah County locations. Additional terms and conditions may apply. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Be ready for BYU Game Day. Download the KSL News Radio app to stream BYU games, plus breaking news during the week. That's the app for KSL News Radio.
The final segment, Cougar Nation Season 2 debut, sponsored by Central Bank. We're taking your calls, 801-575-8255. Who should be the starting quarterback? Edis from Spanish Fork, you want to chime in on this raging quarterback debate. Who should it be?
Absolutely. I don't have one selection. Either quarterback will work out well, I think, from what I've heard from you guys during this. But I really wanted to chime in, as I think we need to make sure that we're making the right play calls. I think A-Rod needs to really look for the talent for each one of these quarterbacks. Doesn't matter if it's running, passing, it doesn't matter. We see a lot of not so great calls from our coordinator, and I think we really need somebody that will use the talent that he has and use each quarterback wisely. And I think and you guys already stated it before, that play call in Oklahoma at the goal line, you run it down the throat. You had 20 yards, nice, beautiful 20-yard run, and then you give an RPO, absolutely not to a rookie. You let him run it in and get the touchdown and get the win.
Good call, and it's a fair point because whoever it is, Aaron Roderick needs a bounce-back year. I think you touched on this earlier, Mitch. This offense, statistically speaking, has been in decline the last 4 years, and that is with 2 of those 4 years, Jaron Hall and Puka Nacua, and Chris Brooks looks like he's going to make the Miami Dolphins roster. And there's so many NFL players on those teams, and yet they didn't achieve the heights of that 2020 team. Aaron Roderick needs to be dialed in, and it's important to me that he fine-tunes the game plan to whoever's going to be the starting quarterback, because he said earlier today they have a lot more in common than they don't, but they're also different players.
Yes.
And that's the job of the coordinator, to get these guys in the best position possible to succeed. And I like that call, because you want to look at the quarterback so often, but sometimes, like that Oklahoma example is a great one. Make it easy.
Yep.
It doesn't need to be an RPO in the 1 yard line. Just line up, goal line, power O, hand it off. So it's a critical year for A-Rod.
One positive thing I do see emerging out of this quarterback battle is that both players feel like they are well liked in that locker room. You know, Bohannon especially, Retzlaff too. I feel like they've carried themselves as leaders of the program. Both were named co-captains today. 4 captains in total named for BYU: Tyler Batty, Chase Roberts, Connor Pay, Jacob Robinson. It was nice to see BYU cut that in half. Last year they had 8 captains, and you're thinking, let's just name all 22 at that point. They cut that in half, trimmed it down to 4, which I like to see. But, I think that's a positive piece, because you just do wonder if it creates a divide. And the coaches have downplayed that thought, that this team is unified no matter who the quarterback is. But you got to think that if there's some adversity that faces someone, a quarterback, that maybe the locker room's going to be like, well, let's go with this guy. Let's move on. Let's go with this guy. This is our guy. So you just hope that those sort of things don't happen, and this group is strong enough. BYU has faced a lot of adversity, self-inflicted. 2 straight years where they've had, losing streaks of 4 games or more. Can they respond quicker to adversity this year? That's going to be a challenge for BYU, because this schedule is going to be tough. Do they have the quarterbacks, or do they have just the overall roster that can withstand adversity and bounce back quick? Because losses are going to happen, but don't let a surprise loss turn into 3, turn into 4. That's something that BYU's got to respond better this year, because past couple of years they have struggled on that front. BYU, Southern Illinois, this Saturday, 6 o'clock kick. You can chime in on your thoughts on the quarterback if you want to get in before the top of the hour. 801-575-8255. Your thoughts on this matchup and the season ahead for BYU in 2024.
It's a good test, because Southern Illinois is, you look at it, just the label FCS, you would say, not a great football team. This is a pretty good football team. It's a team you should beat by double digits, but this isn't going to be a team that isn't capable of testing you in some regards. And I think also, Mitch, it's really important to set the tone regardless of the opponent. Kalani touched on that earlier today, the importance of winning games in Provo.
They're coming here and they're trying to take a win from us. We have to defend LaVell Edwards Stadium, and our players understand it's nothing personal, but we have goals and plans too.
Starts this week, and there's so many important home games coming. Kansas State is not that far away. That's a team that, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you have them picked to be in the playoff later this year. You get them at home. So you got to defend LaVell Edwards Stadium, and it all starts this week because last year you started at home. There was a lot of excitement. You had Keaton Slovis, an NFL prospect, and at the end of that game, I think a lot of people were sad and a lot of people were discouraged because you had a certain expectation with it being Sam Houston. Now it's the same situation on Saturday. Can't win this one 14-0.
No.
That's technically defending LaVell Edwards Stadium, but let's put up some points and let's get the season started off right.
I think back to that Sam Houston game, Portland State in 2017. Both those games, Kalani Sitake said something to the effect in post games. I have to remind the guys that we won. I'm telling you, this is a game where everyone's going to expect you win. You got to win with a little style because if you just win 20-14, I don't think Cougar Nation's going to feel great about that. I don't think they're going to almost feel like this could be a long season if they win, say, 42-14. I'll be like, okay, that's a proof of concept that this offense is working or it's turned a corner. This group can do something good and be effective. I love the point about play calling because there were times last season where, it's 3rd and 5 or the personnel that's in a certain 3rd and short situation. Just BYU has to be smart at managing their timeouts, avoiding the administrative penalties, and making wise decisions because the margins are so thin. You can't have, decisions where you're calling a timeout back-to-back plays. You can't do that. That's not allowed. That happened last year at Texas. Or what was it, coming out of a halftime break? I think it was Sam Houston, game 1, and you're calling a timeout out of the halftime break. How does that happen? You have to be efficient. You have to be organized. This whole operation has to be on point, and do not beat yourselves when the margins are so thin in these games because so many of these contests this year are going to be 50-50 ball games. And a game like this week where you are a sizable favorite, you've got to capitalize. You've got to take care of business and execute at a high level. And we got to see it this Saturday.
What's your record prediction for this season, Mitch?
I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to say 6-6. And look, I think BYU can exceed that even too. We see in the Big 12 teams that we think are going to be good.
Last year,
they go back to 4 wins or 5 wins. So it can happen. This is a wacky league that can do a lot of different things. I'm going to say 6, though. I think BYU's got enough on their depth in the defense. I think the defense is going to be much improved this year. BYU goes 6-6. What about you?
I'm still at 5-7, and I'm willing to change that because there's one home game in the middle of the year that is a true toss-up. I think Arizona could be had in the middle of the season, but as of right now, I just don't feel great about picking any of these upsets. I think they could beat SMU after what we saw last week. To me, they're trending down. There was talk about them being a competitor in the ACC with the transfer portal class they brought in. I don't see that. I think that's a winnable game in week 2, but the meat of the schedule is so tough. Hey, if they win 40-14, I might be willing to pick an upset, but just based off what we know today, I just have a hard time seeing those 6 wins, Mitch.
It's going to be a week-by-week journey. You don't feel completely comfortable until, about 5 or so games, and we get a consistent body of work every single week from certain players, the quarterback, the running back, the offensive line. You just got to, every single week, it's got to be consistent. You can't have these ups and downs. BYU has got to put out a consistent product each and every week, and they need some stars to emerge too. That's going to be key for BYU because I think the second and third units are better than years past, but I think the top 22, there's some room to grow there and really establish those star players. Tyler Batty's that, Jacob Robinson's that, but who are going to be those other stars for BYU? And it begins on Saturday, 6 o'clock kick, the Cougars and the Salukis.
Great debut of Cougar Nation. We'll see you next week. So for Mitch Harper, our producers, Nate Slack, this edition of Cougar Nation was Sponsored by Central Bank.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.